What's up guys, welcome back to the next video in learning C++. My name is QDS Danny and you guys watching my channel Wood. Okay, so in this video we're going to see what is static variables, our static data members in C++. You guys, sometimes you see static variables or static data members in C++. Alright, so the static variables, you guys can declare your static variables provided you guys gonna do with the keyword static, and you guys need to put a static. Then you guys gonna put a data type, whether it's gonna be int or if it's a string or is it double, whatever you guys want, and then you guys gonna put a name here. So that's how you guys gonna declare static, and you guys can declare your static variables inside the class, and you guys can declare your static variables inside the function. When you guys put anything in front of your the static keyword, your function or your variables becomes static variable. So if you put if you declare inside the class all instances of the class, and we said what's instance of the class in objects are instances of the class, will share the same copy of the variable. So all the objects of the class gonna share the copy of this static, whatever the variables you guys gonna put it. Every whatever instance you guys gonna put it here, all the objects here, all of them is gonna share the copy of this static variables. So if you gonna put it inside the class, and we can access it without any object by class name outside the class. Alright, so you guys keep in mind, we can do it inside we can declare it inside the function as well. Then its value is preserved between successive call for the lifetime of the program, but it cannot be accessed outside the scope of function or a function in which it is declared. So that's a definition of the static, and now we're gonna declare our static here. So, and we have to save time, we have created this class name static Corayo, and we name it Corayo. If you guys don't know how to declare, you guys just go here and add a new file, and you guys just choose this header file. You can create the file, and in the previous videos we haven't done the proper so in order for you guys to do your header file, that's how you guys need to put wrap up your header file. So you guys need to properly define. If you don't know about this, if it looks foreign to you guys go and watch our videos about macros. So what is macros and how we define the macros. So this is the proper, because if you guys do the way we used to do here in here, if you guys don't put your header file, you might get an error and you're gonna get a bug, because that's a header file. And the reason we didn't do this, because you guys, I just wanted to guys to first learn these ones, the most important ones, because this is just the 3 lines. So you guys gonna remember this if you guys gonna do a lot of but because we gotta go a long way, we haven't done a lot of we haven't covered a lot of C++ concepts. So we need to go to hashing, and we need to go to inheritance, we're going to need to go to polymorphism, and above all we need to go to standard template library, we need to go to vectors. So in every time now from now on, if we create the header file, we're gonna create these 3 lines. So if not defined, static Corayo, you guys just put a file name static Corayo, and you guys need to put it in uppercase. And if it's not defined, then you define this, and there's going to be and if, and this is a convention inside the C++ every time. Otherwise, if you guys don't like this one, you guys can put your class here where it says that variable class function. So we're going to move this one from here, and we're going to move it to here. And after that, we're going to using namespace, and I'm going to put a std, and you can put comments here. So we're going to create a class, and we're going to create the double constructor, and double constructor means you guys going to overload your constructor. So we have seen how we overload our constructors. So we're gonna come here and because our class name is static cryo, so we put a class and we put a static cryo. And cryo, you guys know that static, the reason I put static cryo, the reason I put a static cryo because I just wanted to explain to you guys static, and cryo is my channel name. So it's easy for you guys to remember because you guys are here to know what static is. And here the cryo is just, you guys look in the top, that's my channel name. So we're gonna come here and we're gonna put our public. So once you guys done public, we're gonna create, as I said, we're gonna create two constructors, and we're gonna overload our constructors. One of them is going to be with parameter, another one is going to be without parameter. So here we class the first one is we're going to put a static cryo, and we put a static cryo, and that's going to be our first one. And we're gonna have our second constructor gonna be static cryo again. Static cryo, that's the name of the file, and we put a static cryo, that's the second one. And as you guys all already aware, you guys can't do that. You guys need to put some sort of a parameter here, and the second one is you can put a string, and you guys can put str. You guys can put XYZ if you want. And now you guys need to come here and needs to declare your two constructors here, which you have created. And above all, we're going to create our static. So the first one is going to be, and we're going to see the number of times our static keyword is going to be used in all our functions, which is going to be this the two constructor, the first constructor and the second constructor. We're going to put our static variables here, and we're going to use it inside our constructor. And here when we initialize our constructor here, and you guys know that the constructor initializes the objects, and once you initialize here, you guys can initialize both of the constructor here, and you guys going to see that how many times our static this one was used. As we said, that static variable inside the class, all the instances of the class, and I said that objects will share the same copy of the variable, and we're going to see how many times each of this constructor uses our static variable is going to share this same copy of this static. So we're going to put a number of copies and our number of times used, whatever you guys want to put it. So we put a static int, we put a static and int. We're going to see the number of times, and we're going to see the number of times used. You guys can put something else. The reason I put the number of time used is so you guys know that how many times is used in our constructors. Alright, so that's the first one is that, and this guy here is static. Now we put it in our static, we declared as static, and once we come here, we're going to use this one in all our function here and our constructors here. And now the second one is going to be, say, we're going to put some sort of other message, and we're going to put a string and put a my channel, for example, my channel. So now we have two data members here. The first one is static, the second one is string. And now we're going to come here and we're going to this guy here, the first one, and we're going to let that this coming from our constructor. So we put a C out, and we're going to put a this is coming from our first constructor, our default constructor. So this is coming from our default constructor. We're gonna let the user know. Okay, so I'm gonna put some sort of star here, and I'm gonna put an end L here. This is just a message that I want to see if it's coming from the first constructor or is coming from the second constructor. This is coming from the overloaded constructor or overloaded constructor. Alright, so now we have a message that the first one's coming from this constructor, the second one is gonna come from this constructor, and you guys need to declare your constructor, and you guys gonna come here and put a static Corio. That's our first constructor, and the second one is going to be static Corio again. So you guys need to declare your constructors, static Corio, and this one's got a string str inside. There's a parameter, so you're going to put a string and it's str. Alright, so now we're going to have two other functions as well, and our function is going to be, so how many times our objects is used, and then another one's going to be simply we're going to say display. So we're going to put this one a little bit forward, and we're going to say that we're going to put a static, we put a void, we put a static Corio, and you guys can want to monitor how many times is used, or you guys going to see the number of time used. So we name this times. So that's what I could think of. So we have a function that we have a static in here, how many times used, and that's our you guys can put a x number of times, or you guys can put a x time used, or you guys can put a number of time used, and here is a time. So that's our function here, and we have another function is going to be void, and this function is going to be static Corio, and this one's going to be show, for example. So as the name suggests here, we don't have a return type here. This one, all we want to know that how many times is used of these static variables here, static int number of times used. That's all we want to know, that how many times used. And this one's gonna display simple message, this one's gonna display cout, and it says you are watching my channel, and you guys can put it here, string my channel. So I'm going to put my channel, so my channel, and you guys can put a handle here. Okay, so that's what we're going to show of this function, my channel, and this one's going to come here, and we're going to put a cout. The number of static Corio objects, and we're going to see the number of Corio objects, how many number of the Corio objects, and it's going to be the number of time used. We're going to put this one, and we're going to put that one here, and we put a handle here. Alright, so now we're going to move ahead, and we're going to put this void show and void times. We're going to put a void show, and we're going to put a time. So now we have declared these two guys here. Okay, so we're going to move the first constructor here, and we're going to increment this guy here. The first one, we're going to come here and put a number of time used. You guys need to increment this one to see how many times is used, and you guys need to put a my channel, and my channel is going to be Corio, say for example wood, or you guys can just put a Corio here at the moment. Once we have incremented our first constructor, what about the second constructor? Because we need to increment this one as well, because we want to see this guy here, the number of time used, which is, as we said, that every instance of this class gonna use the copy. It means that we're gonna use the copy of this number of time used, because that's static. Keep in mind, that's what we call this static. So we can use this one and the number of copies here as well, the number of times, and we can put this one and we can increment this as well, because if you guys don't increment this one, because the C++ is not going to increment it to you. Now here we have already put, that's our default, and the default is going to come in with this one. But for the second one, you guys don't want to put this one, you guys just put some other channels as well, and you guys can put say my channel, and that's going to be str. Okay, so the first one here we already declared that my channel is going to be Corayo, and the second one is here we have put a str, the parameter, because we're gonna put it here. So whatever we're gonna put it here, you guys can put anything you guys like. YouTube, you guys can put Facebook, whatever in my channel. So that's how this this guy here look. The reason is, and keep in mind, we have number of objects, what number of time used is static. This guy is static, and this guy is not static, because this guy is going to change it. We're going to change it there, but this guy is here and it's going to count. That's how many times the first object we initialize it, because the constructor is initializer. They initialize our objects. And now this one's done, and now we're going to move forward, and we're going to move forward towards main. And now you guys are going to see that we already put our static Corayo, and you guys needs to put this one is int, and we put the class name, and the class name is static Corayo, and you guys needs to put your number of time used, which is the static variable. Okay, so now we're gonna put it underneath, and we're gonna put our constructor, and our constructor is gonna be static Corayo, and you guys can put a name. You guys can put whatever name you guys whatever name you guys, XYZ ABC. So in this one we're gonna put a first, because that's our first object from our constructor, and we put a first. Now we're gonna access all the members, our methods. So the first one is gonna be, say, show, and the second one is gonna be the times, and this guy is here. That's number of times is used. The second one's, the first one we have seen the show. You are watching my channel and my channel, because this is coming from this constructor. Keep in mind that's coming from this constructor, the first one, and the second ones, which we're gonna declare later on, is gonna come from the second constructor. So now it's gonna be show, and the second one is gonna be first dot times time, because how many times is used. All right, so now our program is ready, so we're gonna run for any error or any problem. So it looks like that one's giving us problem. We're gonna see what is the problem. Okay, so it looks like we have a typo here. We have put a time, and we have put a times there. So we either is gonna have a time or times, either one, because we have put a times here, and we have put a time with the S, and now here with the time without S. All right, so now that one's done, and we're gonna run again. So all good, our program's running. So we're gonna see our static variables. Okay, so this is coming from our first constructor. You are watching my channel Corayo. The number of static Corayo objects is 1. So if you look in here, that we are using our static variable. And what is our static variable? This is our static variable, and our static variable called number of time used. So we have used this one here, and we are incrementing this one, and you guys gonna have seen my channel is gonna coming from Corayo. And if you look in here, you are watching my channel, and my channel name is Corayo, because in here we are calling this function, we are calling the show, and the show is this guy here. So what this one says that you are calling my channel. And what is my channel in here? The first constructor is going to be Corayo, while the second one is going to be time and the number of static objects and the number of time used, and that's going to be here. And you guys going to see here that's this guy here, first time, and again, so you guys can see. So that's one's here, the first time, and that's our constructor. We are calling as constructor. We name it first. You guys can name it XYZ, ABC, I don't care. You guys can put first show, and that's how you guys going to access with the dot. And you guys going to see that we are accessing the show method, and the second one is going to be the time method. But the main thing is that we are using the static variables here. With the static variables, we can count how many times which constructor we are using when. You guys can put a 2 constructor, you can put a 3 constructor, 4 constructor, whatever constructor you guys want, and that static variable you guys can use it. Alright, so now we're gonna put our second constructor here. So we're gonna put a static Corayo, and we're gonna put a second. That's coming from our second constructor. So if you look in here, now this is gonna come from here, and this one, because this one's got a parameter, and our parameters here, the number of time used, which is this guy here, and it says my channel str. All right, so now this one we're gonna come back, and we're gonna put a second, because this one have a parameter. You guys gonna need to put some sort of parameter here. So because this guy doesn't have a parameter, and this guy needs to, you guys needs to put some sort of parameter inside, and you're gonna put some sort of parameter here, and I'm gonna put a YouTube. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna put, and that's what second one's gonna be second dot show, same as above, and we can put a second dot times. So that's the time. And now we're going to see that the second one's going to come from this one, from the second overloaded. Keep in mind this is our loaded constructor. So that's this one's going to be default constructor, and this one's going to be overloaded. Okay, so with the default constructor overloaded, we have gone through this one in the previous videos. You guys should be already know by default constructor and overloaded constructor. So now we're going to come here, and we're going to run again, and you guys going to see that's our first one we've seen. This is coming from the overloaded constructor. You are watching my channel YouTube, keep in mind, and the static Corayo, the number of static Corayo objects is 2. Very easy. You guys going to see that we have used both our constructors, and our constructor here, you guys can put some sort of line, you guys can put a C out, and you can put some sort of line, so distinguish, and you can put an end L here. We're gonna run again, and you can see the line here, that's coming from the first one, and this is second coming from the second one. So that's what we mean, that every object of this here of the constructor of the class gonna use the static variable, this guy here. So that's how the static variables works inside the class. Okay, so now we're gonna put some sort of static variable inside the function, and we're gonna put some sort of function here, and our function is gonna be outside the class, it's not gonna be inside the class. And we're gonna put a, say for example, void, and that void is going to be state, not a state. So we're going to put a state demo, for example. So this is our second function. Keep in mind, this function is independent from this class. It's got nothing to do with this class because we haven't declared it. So the class doesn't know that there is a function here dangling here, and this function is inside near very close to the main. And now we're going to put it static, and now we put a int, and you guys can put some sort of number. So if you can put a, and we initialize that a is from 0. All right, so now we put a c out, and you guys can put some sort of counting numbers, and that counting numbers gonna be coming from this static demo function, static demo. Sorry for the typo. And we're gonna put it here. You're gonna be a, and we're gonna put some sort of space here, and we're gonna put an endl. All right, so now you guys need to increment this a. So the a is here is going to be get it increment, because this function here now is have a static as well here inside, and this guy here a, you guys can put a b. I don't care. You guys can put xyz. You guys can put a count. You guys can put a universe, world, whatever you guys want to put. Just put something so you guys remember. So in my case, I put a to make it short, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna put another c out here. I'm gonna put another line because I just want to show you guys how it's gonna come from the function, the static variables. And keep in mind, you guys need to remember the concept of the static variables. Okay, so now we're gonna put this guy here, and we're gonna count it. We're going to use the function, and we're going to say for 4, and what's our 4 is going to be? We're going to put an int I, we initialize it from 0, and I is going to be less than say 10, for example, and it's going to be I++. We need to increment that one. All right, so now all done. Our for loop is done because we are initializing from 0, and it goes less than 10, and we incremented here. But now the only thing that left is this function, because this function is by itself. This function, keep in mind, not belongs to any class. So keep in mind, look at here, we don't have any state demo. You guys can put a demo, or you guys can put a count, you guys can put xyz, anything you guys want to put. But keep in mind, it's not in our class. There's nowhere to be seen in our class because it doesn't belong in our class. It's just by itself. This function is above the main, just a function, and we're going to copy that one, and we have to bring it inside the loop to see the static inside the loop. So once you guys done, then it's going to loop. The loop is going to run, and it's going to count this number because we initialize it from 0, because we're going to count. We're going to see how we go with this one, counting numbers. We're going to count till 10. Keep in mind, we're going to count till 10, and here we guys going to increment. So we're going to build our project. So we're going to see for any error. All good. And we're going to run our program, and you guys going to see that that's coming from our class. This static variable is coming from our class, and this guy is here coming from our function. So that's how the C++ looks at the static variable, and this is the static variable. Keep in mind, that's how this guy is here. Now we have a static int a, or you guys can put a xyz. You guys can put anything else here. You guys need to put some sort of, if you want to initialize it, you guys can initialize it. And there is another one here, this is inside the class. So this guy here, that's sitting inside the class. So that's what the static variables, how they work inside the C++. You guys can put static variables inside the class, or you guys can put a static variable inside the function. And I'm gonna run again. You guys gonna see that's a static variable in action. And as I said to you guys, a static variable inside the class, every instance of that object, the constructor, the object's gonna use the copies of that static variables. And look at inside the class, that's inside the function. That's how the static variable works inside the function. Okay, that's it for this video. If you have any question or comment, leave in comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.